Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of GnWC Weekly. I am the Duke, and I'm joined by my good buddy.
Colonel Sanders.
Oh, yeah, with that Georgia
No,
Gold chicken.
no, Colonel Sanders from WCW. Mike Enos's old manager.
Oh, that makes. I mean, that's more relevant to what we're talking about. So, but that's Larry. I'm Duke, and we're
Was he Colonel Sanders though, or was he like?
Colonel Harlan Sanders was KFC. Oh, you're still talking about the WCW guy, aren't you?
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to pause while I look
Nope,
this up.
nope. You got any news and notes?
I probably do, but I kind of forgot them all already.
Cool.
I'm not preparing for a news and notes segment because I feel like there's a lot of wrestling within the week,
I agree.
and if anything is overly popular, we will actually cover it.
Yeah.
In its relevant topic.
Well, and I've got
By the way-
I've got a huge travel day tomorrow, which I didn't even mention to you before now. So let's get this road on the show.
Yeah, I'm actually looking up Colonel Sanders and all that.
Elimination Chamber.
All that comes up
Let's
is Dolph Ziggler.
let's discuss
No,
what
I'm
we're
serious.
doing.
I wanted to figure this out because, was he Sanders? I don't even remember if he was Sanders or not. But yeah, Elimination Chamber. What did you feel about it? How'd you feel?
You know, I've heard some people sort of, I won't say dog it, but just say nothing really happened. It was just about the main event. Blah blah blah. Well, you know, of course it was just about the main event, but I disagree. I really liked it. I thought it was a well-paced show. Everything made a lot of sense.
Colonel Robert Parker.
Oh, wow, you were really wrong.
Yeah, well, he dressed like Colonel Sanders.
Oh, okay. We're done with that, right?
I'm still reading the Wikipedia, but you can go ahead.
But I thought elimination. I thought all the matches made sense, even from the pre-show. I thought Mojo and Kurt did a really good job. They told a good story, and we saw some new stuff out of Mojo, and the commentary team was on point all night. I don't know. The crowd was great. I can't not say that. The crowd was fantastic. There's really only one time in the entire show that you can maybe claim the crowd went into business for themselves, but I think it's just because Dolph Ziggler is over. And no matter how,
yeah, I think when you talk about crowds going into it for themselves, I feel like that's now become like a meme. Like everyone just tries to pick out a particular chant and be like, oh, they're just going into like more than just the fans actually really hijacking the show.
No, yeah, and I don't think they really hijacked the show or went into business for themselves, as people say. I just think that would be the only point where you could say, well, they weren't really where you wanted them to be, but that's because Dolph has been over for a very long time. No matter what, dirt sheets and stuff want to say about Dolph Ziggler, crowds love him, and it's him doing stuff with doing mean things with chairs and stuff like that isn't going to make anyone hate him. It just puts an edge on him. So, and that's something we haven't had on Dolph in a while. So it's something that the crowd is going to. I don't think they're ever going to have him be a real bad guy. I mean, honestly, maybe it's a little on him. Maybe it's a little on the back office. I don't know, but just touching on this subject, and then we'll get back to the rest of the show. When the crowd is chanting, if you're the heel and the crowd is chanting one more time, the heel move is to not do it one more time. But he always went with what the crowd wanted. So, of course, that's going to continue to build the cheers for him, as opposed to actually generating any sort of heat. So,
yeah, and the crowd was and after he would do it, like after he beat down Apollo Crews, the crowd chanted, "Thank you, Dolph."
Yeah,
like Apollo Crews is like the worst.
Yeah,
like
Apollo Crews isn't fantastic. Yeah. Okay,
like,
so
I just
there's that moment.
Pretty much defended the crowd for not being like hijacking the show.
And there's the moment right there. That was
but there was like that one moment where I'm just like, this just doesn't make sense. Like, and it's like I guess you can relate it to WWE just not doing right for Apollo, to where they put him in that position where they have, a guy who was actually pretty much the most popular heel at the time. Like in 2012, turn heel again, and expect fans not to like remember that. or not to root for him, or not to like embrace his new role because his face gimmick was very stale and stagnant.
Well, and and let's remember that Dolph's like aggravated assault major heel moment was probably one of the most cheered moments of the past, I don't know, 5 years, when he cashed in his Money in the Bank briefcase. And it's probably on par or just below the biggest pop ever for a Money in the Bank cash in. So, I mean, yeah, like you said, that people remember that Dolph. People loved that Dolph. And so, yeah, they're not gonna all of a sudden say, oh, well, he's using chairs on the nice guys. Well, the nice guys were, haven't been utilized well. so yes, people are going to cheer for the nice guys getting beat up in this case.
And that's what happens when you have the Intercontinental title on a main event star vying for the WWE Championship, instead of a match like this or guys like this.
Fair enough.
In the mix for the championship.
Good point.
You get a match where it's like two guys nobody cares about and Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah, good point.
I mean, Kalisto was a U.S. title and really champion, and no one cared about him there either. All right, I won't say no, but like I made him sound like he's like really, really bad wrestler and no one cares about him. I mean, I guess people do like him, kids like him. WWE likes to have that wrestler to sell the masks and stuff like that. But if Apollo Crews ever had an IC run, maybe it means a little bit something more.
Sure.
Whatever. But you take that title, you put it in a championship match, and always have it in the championship match and championship picture. And you can't elevate these guys to the point where anybody cares about them. As athletic as Apollo Crews is, as fascinating as Kalisto could be in the ring, they just kind of take away from this match. Like, hey, I know Ziggler. I have a rooting interest in Ziggler. I've rooted for him one time. And he always had that charisma to be somebody's favorite wrestler.
Yeah, and we can get back to Kalisto in a little bit when we close things out, talking cruiserweights, because he fits into that conversation in a major way, and it's but we'll get back to that in a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'll give a little plug for our weekly topic. So that's in chat, by the way, for anybody listening to this on YouTube.
Dig it.
Yeah. All right. So my biggest takeaway from Elimination Chamber was the quote unquote shock that Naomi won, and it's something I failed to mention last week, or we both failed to mention last week, because they were playing up that whole WrestleMania is in Orlando. It's Naomi's hometown is in Orlando kind of thing. I kind of really wasn't on my mind, because I'm like, here's a situation where the WWE is putting like a false lead, a false feeler out there. It's like, oh, well, it's obvious that Naomi's going to win because they're playing up the hometown thing. But then it's like, well, now maybe in this case, I feel it's not. I feel it's like it's just a misnomer. Bret Hart doesn't get to always win in Canada. Zack Ryder never wins on Long Island, and Naomi's not winning the title to bring it into her hometown. And lo and behold, Naomi wins the match, and I'm just like, whoa.
Yeah.
I did not expect that, and it was pretty cool.
And when Alexa went for Twisted Bliss, and it seemed like she actually got the wind knocked out of her, because it took her a while to get in position for the finish. But when the knees came up, I'm like, this isn't really happening, is it? Like
exactly.
Something's it was weird, because I should have been like much more excited for it, and I did. I kind of did a little mini mark out, threw my hands up. I'm like, they did it. But I
had the same reaction when Alexa Bliss beat Becky Lynch.
Yeah,
She's just like, when it happened. I'm just like, wow.
Yeah. But
my God, they did that.
But when the knees came up, I'm like, they're going to debut somebody. Something's happening. This can't be. And she gets up, and then Alexa barely made it there, and probably got her face crushed. But
do you know
that was kind of?
Do you know one of the things I feel that is a downfall for anybody who watches wrestling, when they say they don't get excited about anything anymore, or blah blah blah? I feel it's because they never watch it with somebody else. with a buddy.
Oh, yeah.
And
I wish I had someone
and
to
like
watch
you
it
can
with.
feed off of each other, and you can you don't really overreact, but you at least can outwardly express yourself without just the means of feel like you're talking to the TV.
Yeah.
Like someone else is there with you. So you can get invested in some things like that. I feel like if you're watching it with a group of people or a buddy who are all into it, mind you.
Yeah, sure.
Like you can kind of feed off each other and just have a blast. Be like, oh my god, like you can pop, you can jump out of your seat, kind of stuff. But if you're watching it alone in your easy chair with your popcorn, and there's like no one else really watching it with you in the room, even if somebody's in the room, they're not really watching it with you. You can't really have that kind of reactions to stuff. So it almost feels like, in a way, people who watch this by themselves feel like wrestling isn't exciting like it used to be. But yet back when it used to be, like they would have friends come over for it to watch Nitro and stuff like that. So like I feel like that comparison right there is a valid one when comparing like the Attitude Era to today's day and age. It's not like a group activity anymore. It's like, it's like a feels bad man like kind of situation. You're just alone in your home. Like not to depress anybody out there myself at the same time, but
yeah.
But talking about Naomi winning instead of it being like, oh my god, like you jump out, you like the commercials lead you to believe when they show like a home reaction.
Sure.
It's like oh wow, I can't believe they did that. Like in such like a Lance Storm monotone voice.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I can't believe they let her win the championship.
Wow, she won the championship. Yeah, and that was something that I thought you mentioned Lance Storm, and that's one of the podcasts I heard where people were like, it was good. It was more about the main event than anything else, or it was okay. It was like 3 hours of SmackDown, and I'm like, that's not what I got out of it, because we had a surprising championship change. Two sort of, if you read stuff about wrestling.
Let me finish my thought on this match before you segue.
But anyway.
Right, let me finish my thought on this match before you segue
I'm
to
sorry,
the other.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. The best part about this match, though, for me is after that, like, oh my god, she really won. Was they brought Renee Young in the ring and they did the interview.
Yeah.
And like the fans actually accepted it.
Right. Yeah. Nobody.
And I'm like, well, there you go. Stupid. That's exactly what I wanted.
Yeah.
Because that's what I said last week. I wanted people to appreciate Naomi, because I didn't feel like they did.
Yeah. And that was really.
I was kind of wrong, I guess.
Yeah.
So.
And that says a lot. That low key says a lot for the work Alexa Bliss was doing too, because she was kind of getting sort of reactions. She would get
people
some
wanted her to lose the title, I guess.
But people were like, hey, that was legit. I'm cool. Like our little 5 feet of fury. Everybody likes her. But I was cool with her losing it to Naomi of all people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like a whole crowd got behind it. And it is worth noting, this is just another feather in her cap, I would say. It's worth noting that of all the people that have an emotional response to a championship, Naomi is the only woman, that as a babyface, the only woman in the past, year, 2 years, that when they get emotional, she can immediately get her emotions in check. It took her about 5 seconds, where the other girls are, just drooling on the floor. And I'm not saying that's bad. I like emotion in wrestling. I like that there's some realism to it, but it should say a lot to the people in the back that you've got the title on someone who can hold it together like that in a very in a good way, in front of a live audience, because the other girls, they get so wrapped up in what they're doing, and that's awesome. I actually appreciate that, but sometimes you got to get the segment done, and Naomi pulled it off, and I think that's it's sort of, I don't know if it's a backhanded compliment, but I just feel like that's a level of professionalism that maybe we haven't seen for a while from the ladies. And I'm not dogging anybody. Again, I like that other side of things. I just think that was highly professional of her to pull it together as quickly as she did.
Right. And I am running down the card, and I am looking at the card. American Alpha remain tag team champions. They set up something pretty much with the Usos, where the Usos kind of tried to take them out and left the Ascension to kind of win the titles, and of course, Ascension doesn't win ever, except for that one 8-man tag match or 14 tag, whatever, 8-team tag match. American Alpha came out. Now American Alpha going against Usos. Becky Lynch and Mickie James had a fantastic match. You mentioned Mojo Rawley already. Orton beated Luke Harper to no one's surprise. That kind of didn't really elevate anything, didn't continue anything. It was just Randy Orton beat Harper. I was kind of a little bit upset that, Luke Harper is a phenomenal athlete, great wrestler, and I think the match was pretty good.
I think the match
overall
I think the match was really good, and the commentary sold Harper really, 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 really
right.
well.
But if you take it, out of that bubble of it just being the match, it did nothing for either person's storyline.
Fair enough.
Regarding the they were just,
which is probably where some of the "it was just a show" comments come from other people.
Yeah. Well, I think Carmella and James Ellsworth segments, and that's why I really started this whole rundown right now, is because I think that was the, it felt SmackDown part, because they kind of interweaved the interviews.
Yeah.
Backstage in the ring, and then interweaved Carmella in the press box kind of stuff. So that was kind of like TV show-ish, but then again, just a lot of these matches were really good on their own. And for the most part, most of them progressed some sort of storyline or elevated somebody like Mojo Rawley or I guess, I don't know.
I mean, Naomi.
Obviously Naomi. But we go to the main event here with Bray Wyatt winning the championship. And I overall, we discussed before we went on the air the new chamber and stuff like that. Both thought aesthetically it looked really good. It visually came across as very pleasing to the eye. And just maybe it wasn't as dark and as intimidating as the other one was, but it was just cool. It could just be cool. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Without needing to compare it to the other one point by point. Bray Wyatt winning and that.
Sorry, just because thinking of the whole crash cage thing, I will say, I would buy that toy. The elimination that elimination chamber. I would buy that toy.
I can do a 60-minute podcast on how I have too much crap. And then immediately leave the room I was trying to sort stuff on to come into this room where I am now, and immediately looked up old video game consoles on eBay, I'm going to buy more crap. You know what I mean? So I can be able to have that 60-minute hoarders kind of podcast one day. Maybe you can join me.
Yeah.
But not only Bray Wyatt winning the title, but he was the one that eliminated Cena and then eliminated Styles to win it.
And eliminated Cena, early, so that the champ is going out, and that means we're getting a new champ. It's not, well, it could still be Cena, because that sort of, I heard someone say this, and I thought the same thing before they said it, but they said it before me. But it lets the air out of the crowd when it's just well, it's just gonna be Cena again. If it's going in and he's still in it.
Yeah.
And then you beat him. Before that.
Well, but here's also the thing. You bring it down to John Cena and Bray Wyatt, and the crowd's going to root for Bray Wyatt. You put it down to true. Bray Wyatt and AJ Styles, the crowd's probably rooting for AJ Styles at worst 50-50.
Sure.
So
again, it was the match was
just like the Rumble,
perfectly.
Just like Randy winning the Rumble with Roman Reigns coming out last.
Sure.
The crowd didn't want to see Roman Reigns win, kind of stuff. So they were going to boo, so they can socially accept Randy Orton winning, even though they would never want him to win in the past anyway, because he always wins.
Yeah.
But it's kind of the same situation. Here's the thing. I watched, to your point, I watched a match, or to the point that you were quoting, I watched a match one time in Shimmer for the Shimmer World Championship, Women's Championship. That was Madison Eagles, and she was the reigning champion. Athena, Ember Moon was in the match, and then two other women were in the match. I'm kind of forgetting who they were. Nicole Matthews was one of them, and then somebody else. Madison Eagles was the first one eliminated. Four corners elimination match. Madison Eagles ate Athena, Ember Moon's finisher, the stunner off the rope.
Yep.
Very early in that match.
Huh.
Shockingly early. And she was eliminated. And now it comes down to a new champion, but it's still three women in the match. So it was very interesting. Edge of your seat kind of interesting.
Yeah. Who, because you're getting who is going to win? Something new is happening tonight. Yeah.
And it was heel. Well, was the Miz still in the match at that point?
No, the Miz went out before. Who did Miz go out to? I think he got AA'd. I'm pretty sure he got AA'd.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I think
right.
I think it was the Miz. I think the Miz went out right before Cena, and then Cena goes out, and then
yeah, Miz eliminated Ambrose, and then attitude adjustment from Cena ended his night. Okay, so you had Cena out, and then it was just like heel for the title right then and there. So that was pretty good.
But
and,
the two heels that everybody in the room wants to see walking out with that title. So
right. So now it's like interesting.
Yeah.
Because it's Bray. Did they finally give Bray Wyatt the title, or does the title go back to where everyone thinks it deserves to be?
Sure.
And should never have left on AJ Styles.
Sure.
So it created that dynamic, and just based on that, based on Naomi winning, based on like several good matches on the card, like I find it very hard to agree with the comments that are like this just felt like a 3-hour SmackDown.
Yeah, I don't agree with it at all, and
No.
people can have their opinion. That's fine. I kind of got where they were coming from, but I'm like I don't like that almost comes from a place of someone who doesn't watch SmackDown every week.
It comes from a
like
place.
that. That's kind of how those comments came off to me. So
it comes from a world of no jobbers. So we see these people pretty much work with these people for years and years and years.
Well, that's
so like
that's
none
fair.
of these matches are on this higher marquee. Like we joke about this all the time, and we did it before we went on the air, but never been done before. Kind of plateau. Like first time ever plateau. Well, you can't really do that because you have a company of 20-something wrestlers that go in and out of the road, and you have 52 shows a year on TV, and then 12 shows a year or whatever, 8 shows a year on pay-per-views. So like a lot of it's going to cross over and be redundant and go on forever. So you don't have that. But like Elimination Chamber is unique. You only get one a year, and most of the time anybody you put in there, it's going to be like first time ever situation. Everything else on the card, we could have had this before. I mean, we did have a tag team turmoil match before. The titles were not on the line, blah blah blah. But yeah, I feel like overall the grade, I'll give this one a B-.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like it was really good. It had a title change. It doesn't need surprises, heel turns, returns, stuff like that. But or title changes. But I thought a lot of the matches were good, and it didn't really leave me to like. Just be like, man, like, is it 11 o'clock yet? Or is it at least we on to the next match yet? Kind of moments, but I did enjoy that. So let's spill on over to Raw here real quick. All right.
I thought Raw was
just
good,
like,
by the way.
I was going to say this. I was going to say we always talk about Raw just having moments. And I feel like this Raw did stuff.
Yeah, I feel like there was actual cohesion and flow in this Raw that we haven't seen very often on that show.
You get beyond the opening of
that crap.
Stephanie McMahon and whoever.
Roman.
Who the hell was in the ring?
Roman.
Oh, Roman came out right away to interrupt her. Okay.
Yeah.
And then the club came out. No, I thought she was talking to somebody else first, then Roman came out. Yeah, so she's in the ring and Roman comes out, and it's just like, come on. It's not even 2 minutes into the match, into the show, and it's all about Roman already. Like, can we just not save this for the 10 o'clock hour?
Sure.
And then the club come out, and you're like, all right, well, Roman Reigns is going to beat the club 2-on-1, and then Roman Reigns beats the club 2-on-1 via disqualification, but still, they're your tag team champions. Like, could, Primo and Epico not come out to defend her honor? Like, and Roman Reigns squash them instead?
Well, yeah, I mean, and it totally makes sense for Primo and Epico because she bought a timeshare. Hello, it's
there you go.
Baked in.
So, right, so you have Kofi and Bo Dallas, and Bo is Bo, and they, again, Bo is on that list of people that, some people feel he just deserves better. You have your 205 Live Cruiserweights kind of splitting up the card, 2 matches, I believe, there. But here's the stuff, though. Like, here's the stuff. And Braun Strowman is now squashing Mark Henry, and now he's fighting the Big Show next week. And this is something we predicted.
Yeah.
It happened months later.
Gauntlet of Giants.
But,
yep.
Yeah, it happened way many months later. But at the time of the draft, we're like, well, Braun Strowman's on this show just to beat up Mark Henry and Big Show.
Yeah.
It's basically it. And Sami Zayn defeated Rusev, and again, whatever. But here's the stuff that happened. Emelina debuted.
Yeah.
only to like take the Eastern Championship or the NWA title and throw it down in the ring, Shane Douglas style, and basically say, "No, screw this. I'm the ECW champion." You know, that's basically she took the Emelina like necklace and just ripped it off, and like the proverbial necklace,
you got it,
ripped it off and just slammed it down on the thing and said, "Nope." The makeover to Emelina and Emma just begins, and she walks away. Like, and here's a situation where I
totally like sour faced, like evil Emma too. It was so good.
Right.
It was so good.
And there's a reason for that, and that's your news and notes for the week, and I'll get to it in a second. Or actually one of two, and I'll bring up the second one in the same segment.
Okay.
It reminded me a lot of like Brodus Clay is coming, and all you do is see this guy squashing people in the ring. And it's like Brodus Clay is coming, and it's like just continuous. And then it's like, here's Brodus Clay, and all of a sudden you hear Ernest the Cat Miller's old song, "Somebody Call My Mama," and he comes out and he starts dancing. Yeah. It's like, well, this is not as advertised.
Yeah, this is not what we got.
It was kind of like that, but here's the quick of it. Like the whole delay and pushing off and stuff like that is because no one was happy with Emma relating to the Emelina gimmick. She just wasn't pulling it off. So now they just scrapped it.
Good.
And that's what it is. So that was the reason behind the delays, and that's the reason behind the we're just going to scrap it kind of deal. And you know, hey, listen, Evil Emma was pretty good.
People liked it. Like I don't, people loved
Quirky Emma was pretty good. People like that as well. Evil Emma was probably good because it wasn't Hulk Hogan's heel turn,
right?
But it was very different for her character.
Yeah.
And just now you're going to turn her into now you're going to turn her into a supermodel kind of character. Well, I mean, like, doesn't Eva Marie do that when she comes back?
Well, and I think
why do we need?
I almost feel like Emma was supposed to be a replacement for Eva because of whatever, or maybe like even a temporary replacement for Eva, and that could be something that she knew and was just like, yeah, I'm not really about that. Can I just? Well,
I don't. We don't know she's sandbagged. We don't know she's sandbagged.
I know, but
like that,
subconsciously, it can get in your head. It's just like, I am a replacement for someone else that I.
Well, I mean, Eva Marie's doing a lot of other stuff now, so who knows if her days are numbered anyway?
Yeah, who knows if she comes back at all. So.
Well, I mean, there was always Total Divas, so as long as there's always Total Divas, they probably always want Eva Marie around.
Yeah, I guess.
So, stuff like that. And here's the second thing. Here's the second of 3 things that happened. Actually, I should just mention my other news and notes here.
Yeah, go.
It has come to light again that Vince McMahon finds Cesaro boring. Like, that is on the forefront of conversation, and how he's not a fan. Like, that has found its way to the dirt sheets again. Remember how we talked about it before?
Yeah, and everybody defended him before, but I got to be honest.
It's a lot supporting now. It's like brand new eyes.
You put
a
mic in his hand, and I don't want to hear him talk. I really I love him in the ring, even though he kind of just does the same stuff. But that's everybody in WWE.
That's everybody.
Yeah, that's everybody in WWE.
Every match ever.
But at least his stuff is different and pretty exciting in a vacuum. But like compared to other people, I would say he is a more exciting in-ring competitor. But you put a mic in his hand, I mean, I don't walk out. I don't walk out of the room, but I'm looking at my phone. I'm just like, I don't care. And
his points just don't even come across well. It's like corny and goofy, and it's just like, you don't like how I wrestle? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's not really that's not a quote, but I mean that's kind of like the conversation.
Yeah, there's not. And I can.
He's the guy on the internet. He's the guy on the internet that K's you for everything. It's like
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let me try to.
That's also my boss. It's just like, hey, I did this. Okay. Oh, I guess that wasn't exciting for you.
I guess I did it wrong, or whatever.
Feedback.
I also do want to quickly mention, within 45 seconds, Akira Tozawa, just doing that goofy yell that he did in the thing, almost it's awesome. I love it. It's getting the crowd into a dull intermission that is the Cruiserweight matches that we talked about last week, but it was getting the crowd into it by him doing the yells and them mocking, so it's working. But I almost feel like they made him overdo it because he did it like 20 times before he even got into the ring to start the match, and not actually doing it during the match like he was doing in.
That's one of those moments where it's like Vince is like, "What is he doing?" Oh, the crowd's doing. I love it.
Have him do it more. Have him do it when he walks to the ring.
Have him do it all the way to the ramp. Give him a megaphone.
He should just grab his hand. He should grab the hand like he's the berserker instead of doing like huss as he goes down the ring. He just do his little yell like it'd become a thing. Like put a towel over his head too, just so whatever.
Yeah, definitely towel over his head.
All right, here are the big two things from Raw, which made Raw like probably one of the best Raws since the brand split. The Festival of Friendship.
Wow.
Gilbert, right?
We called it. I called it. I called that.
You did call that.
Yeah.
But like, want to talk about something I didn't see coming? Well, okay, I saw them splitting up coming.
Saw it coming, but
not that night. Did you see it that night?
No. Well,
I didn't see it that night. I didn't think they were even setting up for it.
No, not like that, and which made it great. And I got to be honest, I love Kevin Owens, and I'm someone who hated him initially because I didn't get it. I didn't get him. But these types of segments for Kevin Owens, when he betrays someone so thoroughly, or when you see how good this guy is at his freaking job. And I'm glad you brought it up because
he's only done it twice, but they're like some of the two best betrayals ever.
Well,
like Marty Jannetty's, Shawn Michaels, and then like, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, Chris Jericho. Yeah, it's like not the best top three, but it's like
I get you. But here's what just like the psychology. I hate using that word because it's sort of a buzzword in wrestling, but the psychology of a Kevin Owens betrayal is just it's some next level stuff because you start watching, you see Kevin Owens for the first time and you're like, he's just this schoolyard bully who just says stupid stuff and talks a little funny and with a slight accent and he's fat. That's what most people see as their first that's their first impression of Kevin Owens. Okay, he doesn't look like everybody else. He doesn't look like a superhero like he's supposed to, and he wears gym shorts. So, and he just has a big mouth. Okay, so that's how, and that's me seeing Kevin Owens for the first time. I'm like, he doesn't do anything. He doesn't pop up powerbomb for his finisher, which means the guy taking it does all the work. So he does as little work as possible, and then you start seeing how he works. And you start seeing he's really, 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 really good. And then these betrayals, back to the actual point. I don't know that I've seen anyone I've seen very few people in wrestling where I can see them just going through anguish as a heel. And Kevin Owens, when he betrays people, Kevin Owens is a man conflicted.
Well, even more so because he had that interview with Triple H. So whatever he did was a result of whatever Triple H told him.
That's another layer.
I'm sure.
Yeah, that's another layer of it. But but it's like this, like Kevin Owens when he betrayed Sami Zayn, when he betrayed Chris Jericho, he looks like a guy, and he even leads into he led into it amazingly with Jericho. He leads into it as a guy that I know what I'm doing is wrong. I know that 100% there is absolutely nothing righteous or justifiable in what I'm doing at all. I have to do it. Something compels me to do this. Maybe I really am evil. I have to do this. I hate myself for doing it. I will justify it next week. And you see all this through the betrayal. You see every bit of this. The more brutal it gets, the more nasty it gets. You see him turning into this monster in front of you that, like, the worst betrayals you've ever seen in a TV show. I feel like Kevin Owens pulls that off in these moments. And it messed me up. I'm like, God, he is such a I don't use this word. He is such a bastard.
So going into that segment, like so the end of that segment, so it's setting up like a Mick Foley, "This Is Your Life" kind of gimmick, except Jericho is making it funny. And, he does this stuff. Gilbert comes out, Owens destroys him, and then, Owens does the whole rap of it, like, "Hey, listen, man, you go too far," kind of stuff, but I appreciate you. I even got something for you. And then I'm like, "I got something for you" is not something he's not gonna open the present and, smoke's gonna blow in his face kind of stuff. I'm like, he probably just got him a simple scarf, and they're gonna hug, and the festival of friendship's
totally
over.
Thought scarf. I totally thought
scarf.
Or
Or somebody's gonna come out and destroy the set. I'm more looking for who's coming out to destroy the set. I'm like, Roman Reigns is coming out. There's no doubt about it. Or Goldberg's there. Goldberg is in that box behind them.
Sure. Sure.
He's just gonna bust out of that box or whatever.
Again, for some reason. Sting.
Right. Or yeah, exactly. Well, Dean Ambrose is in the box.
Right.
Because he's been in the box before.
Sure.
But that's where my mind, maybe that's why they had the big box there, because they wanted people to believe that somebody was in it, or it's just holding the TV nice and sturdy so his head could go through it. But either or,
that's really
either
what
or.
It was.
But when he gives him the thing, and Jericho's like, "Why is my name on it?" and he lifts it up, and it says the gift of the list of KO. I'm looking at it, I'm still not getting it.
Yeah,
and I'm like, "Oh no." And then, as soon as I say, "Oh no," Owens attacked him, and it just I'm not going to say they got me, because we knew this was happening, and this was going to be something for WrestleMania anyway, so it was coming eventually. But man, they pulled it off probably as good as I can accept it.
Yeah, I can't.
Being a fan of it.
I can't picture any better execution of that. And then on top of it, Jericho taking the apron powerbomb, probably the most ugly I've ever seen somebody take one that didn't kill themselves. Not that I've seen someone die, but in that position. But he didn't, you're supposed to get a glimpse of what's behind you when you're taking any sort of powerbomb. Jericho never turned his head, and I suspect that was a very conscious decision of, I'm just going to trust Kevin. And this is going to look awful, or this is going to look ugly, but that's what it needs to look like. And
right.
It did. It. I was just like, come on. I mean, this is a wrestling betrayal, Chris. Come on, dude. Don't kill. Don't die over this. This is not good.
So that's a point of no return. They're not going to come back next week, and he's not going to fight Goldberg. And Jericho's going to help him, be like, "Hey, we were friends all along. We just set it up." I don't think that's
delusional Jericho, who doesn't remember what happened. You could do that, and Jericho could pull it off. But...
Jericho has amnesia, and he thinks his name is Lionheart.
Yeah,
and he's from the Heart Dungeon, and
there you go.
Comes out with
I like it. If anybody can pull it off, Chris Jericho can pull it off. But I agree with you that this is no turning back.
And I do look forward to see how the meeting with Triple H plays into that, and we'll talk about that next week. But the last thing on Raw,
and let's make sure and talk about that next week, because I have a theory.
Okay. Well, hopefully the theory is not. Hopefully you didn't get a chance not to say it, but we have a lot still to go on here, and not a lot of time.
No, I mean, next week. Next week.
Bayley winning the title. Here's the thing, and I'm just going to say this right now, cynically. Bayley doesn't keep this title Monday. Stephanie McMahon overturns this decision. The title is either vacated or put back on Charlotte. And we haven't had this done in a while, and it has a 2% chance of actually happening. But I want to be the one to say
the heel heat. I mean that
I want to be the one to say, because we were talking about Stephanie, her on camera presence is one of I just don't like Bayley kind of stuff. They've alluded to it before, and I wonder if this is maybe setting Stephanie up for a WrestleMania match, because they've been doing a lot of, hey, Stephanie's working out on Twitter.
Yeah, but they were doing that last year.
Yeah, and then they did it the year before, and she actually wrestled at SummerSlam. So they do it all the time, but enough. Still, it's kind of it's kind of if I'm getting wind of it, being as social media dark as I am, I just feel like it's on the forefront instead of just a regular tweet. But they always do the midnight workout stuff, as far as I know. But here's the thing, and this is Angry Larry just wanting stuff to happen like this, or maybe not. I don't want the screw job, maybe. But the fact that Sasha interfered, Bayley winning the title, and them going off the air, that's the last thing that happened that night. Maybe we start Raw off with Stephanie McMahon in the ring calling out the women, and then stripping Bayley of the title. So Bayley's not going into WrestleMania as the champion, and maybe doesn't even have the championship on her resume at this point. It's been nullified. Then Stephanie McMahon gets heat, Bayley gets more sympathy, and there becomes a bigger interest at the match at WrestleMania, or maybe a match at Fastlane that might happen between whoever the champion is. But, you know, like I said, 2% chance of it happening, but I'm going to be the one to call this one. So
sure.
There you go. But,
I mean, not that this means anything, but it's worth noting that they have not updated Bayley's picture with the championship yet.
Oh, is that true?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah. I mean, she's there. Like, she is listed as the Raw Women's Champion, and sometimes they do lag behind on these, but
right.
On .com right now, it's just Bayley's normal mugshot.
Wow.
And even
right.
and relevant, even Naomi has been updated. So that's only that's less than 24 hours removed, and one is and one isn't. So
maybe we ran out of flashbulbs.
You could be on to something.
Maybe ran out of flashbulbs on the camera. And I know you thought that was a really good match and stuff like that. Anything you want to say really quickly?
No, I thought it was great, and I liked the interference spot. I thought I'm sure there's somebody out there, I haven't heard, but I'm sure there's somebody out there who's just like, that cheapens Bayley's win. She needed Sasha. Well, yeah, but Charlotte had an interference for her too. So it was a balancing act, and that was they alluded to the Trish Stratus Stephanie McMahon match or Lita Stephanie McMahon match.
So they brought up a Stephanie McMahon match too.
Yeah, exactly. Which I thought that was funny that you didn't say that when you were just saying what you're saying, but they did allude to Stephanie McMahon Lita, which had guy interference in it, right? Because you had the special enforcers, you had The Rock in one corner or whatever, however that main event happened long ago, and so that sort of plays into a little bit of what you're talking about, but it also connects the dots of you had all the interference in the match and still the babyface gets the victory when it's all said and done,
right.
And everybody's overjoyed and no one cares that there was interference because it just added to the drama of it all, which is what this did. I thought this was done really well.
It was a pretty good match. All right, let's move on to SmackDown here. Try to get this.
We got to roll.
Get to our topic of the week. I felt SmackDown was a below average SmackDown. It had a better main event than normal because that main event, like that big time main event feeling when they added
Big Match
AJ
John.
Styles. What's that?
They added Big Match John, right?
No, they added AJ Styles.
Oh yeah. Well,
it was Bray versus Cena advertised, and then AJ Styles got thrown into the mix.
Fair enough.
Then you had the quote-unquote 50-50 rematch of the pay-per-view before, where Mickie James now went over on Becky Lynch. American Alpha defeated Ascension, so again, it was another match of something we saw at the pay-per-view, which always happens, like post-pay-per-view shows. You always get at least two of those matches. And then, like, a lot of it was just set up for WrestleMania or whatever beyond, maybe a SmackDown beyond. Corbin attacking Ambrose and Naomi and Alexa Bliss having a little bit of a spat in the ring. They set up Nikki Bella and Natalya for a Falls Count Anywhere match next week. I think that's what it was.
Yep.
And then listen. If no one noticed this, when Natalya and Nikki were fighting, did anybody notice Nikki knocking powder all over Maurice?
Yes, I think.
Pretty sure that's going to be
that's relevant.
WrestleMania.
I'm pretty sure
that's relevant to WrestleMania setup there. But you have Bray Wyatt defeat John Cena and AJ in the Elimination Chamber. Then you have him defeat him legitimately on SmackDown, and then you have Randy Orton confronting him to then pledge his allegiance to Bray Wyatt. To where on Talking Smack, now they're going to do a number one contender battle royal to decide who's going to face Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania. Duke, how are they pulling out of this? Where, like, first of all, your opinion, Randy Orton, Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania, and the second opinion is, like, are they just totally invalidating Royal Rumble by even setting this up this way?
Okay. Yes, the match is going to happen at WrestleMania. Luke Harper is going to beat some sense into Randy Orton. that's what I predict happens.
Do you think the winner of the Battle Royal is actually going to beat Bray Wyatt on a SmackDown, and then therefore Randy Orton's going to fight whoever that is at WrestleMania?
That doesn't make sense.
Why not?
Why would Bray Wyatt win a Battle Royal for...
No, somebody's going to win a Battle Royal to fight Bray Wyatt. Did they say that match is happening at WrestleMania, or did they say...
Yeah, they said that... Oh, I get what you're saying.
They say number one contender.
Yeah, number one contender, so that doesn't necessarily... And then Randy has...
I don't know. They might have said...
Person. Could be Luke Harper. And Luke beats the crap out of him and beats him within an inch of his life, but then we get an RKO out of nowhere again. But something snaps in Randy, and he's just like, wait a second. Hold up. I'm the Viper.
What if Randy just totally goes into the Battle Royal and RKOs everyone, and then therefore throws his WWE champion Bray Wyatt's Mania opponent to be determined in Battle Royal? So they are claiming it is the winner will fight him at WrestleMania and not just be a number one contender. So there goes that like little theory right there. But
unless Randy decides to show up. So what if Randy shows up and RKOs somebody? And
what if Randy shows up and decides to, since he has that pass, he's going to help Bray fight whoever wins that match?
Fair enough.
And it's a 3-way match in the same lieu of, like, you know.
I think the fact that we're asking questions is good. It's like
it could be. Yeah, I mean, it could be, but we'll definitely see about that. NXT was pretty good this week, but I don't like really the fast tracking this one. I really just don't like the inclusion of the United Kingdom Championship on my NXT. I want NXT on my NXT.
I liked it.
They should have just had a better forum for the United Kingdom champion, or at least let him wrestle and defend it maybe on 205 Live, since he is technically a cruiserweight stock. But I don't know. I didn't like it. I liked the match. I thought the match was really good.
Yeah,
I thought the match was really good, and both wrestlers are really good. I just didn't.
But
like
as
it
a
on
main
my
event of
TV.
NXT, you didn't really agree with that. I got you.
No, not at all. I want NXT storyline on my
NXT.
Summarizing
for you. Yeah.
But Cassius Ohno is now.
Oh no, I like this.
And 205 Live, TJ Perkins loses again, I believe is the overall theme there.
I will say, TJ Perkins showed us something that we haven't seen from him since he's been in WWE.
What was that?
A personality. I liked it.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah, his interview, I really liked his interview.
Yeah, I think that Neville character's coming across really well, and they've really done well. Well, Jack Gallagher is extraordinarily well to get. That was not pun intended, but I did say
I was just like, well,
yeah, it's like saying AJ Styles is phenomenal and not really meaning to do it.
And he just really is.
Yeah, but Gallagher is really good, and I'm glad he's. Yeah, I'm glad him and Neville are at the top of this. I just wish there was more underneath them or to support him. But let's move on to our topic of the week here. With the remaining time we have left.
Speaking of
cruiserweights.
Yep.
Yeah, cruiserweights. And just like past and present cruiserweights. Duke, what are some of your favorite moments or like some of the bullet points of just cruiserweights over the years that have led you to be the wrestling fan or enjoying wrestling like you do now?
Oh, wow. You put up the LWO. That's actually a pretty interesting faction that
bonus points if you name them all.
I can't name them all.
Left to right, counterclockwise is Damien 666, Hector Garza, Eddie Guerrero, Spider, La Parka.
Very good.
Thank you. I have an LWO t-shirt.
Oh, of course you do. I think I've seen you wear it. But yeah, I loved what they were doing in WCW. I loved how they would kick off the show and get the crowd just really pumped for what was going on. And they were sort of in a bubble. They didn't necessarily mix with anything else that was going on, but they had their place, and their place was opening the show with a pop, and they did it really well. And then you move on from that to WCW being absorbed into WWE, and you had the light heavyweight championship, but it wasn't really taking that seriously after Jerry Lynn, really. And
you ready for a little trivia?
Sorry, what?
Between WCW and WWE, who had the Cruiserweight Light Heavyweight Championship established first?
I'm gonna guess you're leading me to say WWE, And so I would want to say WCW, but I'm going to say WWE.
What year did they establish it?
I have no idea. No clue.
1981.
Oh.
Perro Aguayo, believe it or not, was your first WWE Light Heavyweight Championship. The belt was created for a UWA promotion in Mexico that WWE just kind of was like, okay, we are like creating this title for you guys to defend in your organization, but you're our champion, you're under our umbrella, and every once in a while they would have a match within a WWE show. Sort of, maybe. I mean, there were a couple title changes in California, but nothing but Mexico and Japan all the way else. That is a good point. Tanay used to always also give backstory.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the professor.
Old Head has a great point there.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, he used to give the backstory and really explain to people how the match worked. You didn't need to make tags and stuff like that. But here's the interesting thing about the WWF
Good call out, Old Head.
Light Heavyweight Championship back in the day is the promotion that it was defended in Mexico went under. And then the title was just assumed by New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Huh.
So then you had the great Sasuke, El Samurai, Ultimo Dragon, Jushin Thunder Liger held the WWF Light Heavyweight title. Shinjiro Otani held it as well. The belt actually became part of the J Crown, which I don't know if you remember in WCW when Ultimo Dragon would have like 8 or 9 championships at one time.
Yeah.
As he walked to the ring.
Yeah.
The WWF Light Heavyweight Championship was one of them. And then he won the WCW Cruiserweight Championship, so he had titles from both federations.
That's awesome.
It was kind of like at that. It was kind of like at that point in time when like WWF is like, no, we kind of want our property back.
Yeah.
And then that's what led, like, in November 5th, 1997, the title was vacated, and then like WWF then started their own light heavyweight title again later in '97, where Taka Michinoku beat Grandmaster Sexy and stuff like that. The J Crown tournament was awesome. It was 8 titles. The Cruiserweight title, WCW, was the 9th title, but I don't think it was defended as the J Crown, but they put it on Ultimo Dragon anyway. It's pretty cool. I had a few more trivia notes for you.
Well, super quick
regarding that.
So what I was going to say was when everybody was absorbed into WWE, it kind of disappeared, and then cruiserweights sort of lost their meaning as people were rocketed up the card, like Eddie, Ray, so on and so forth. And they're amazing talents, and they did amazing things, but you sort of forgot that they came from this division that was pretty freaking legendary if you paid attention to it.
Yeah.
So
here's what happened after the
top guys at that point.
After buying WCW, here's kind of what happened. X-Pac and Tajiri kind of were going to fight to merge the Cruiserweight title with the Light Heavyweight title. X-Pac got hurt, so Tajiri just became the Cruiserweight champion, with the Light Heavyweight Championship being retired. And then you had people like the Hurricane, Jamie Noble, Billy Kidman, even Matt Hardy, Mysterio, Chavo Guerrero, Chavo Classic. And by the way, we have to, send our condolences for the Guerrero family, for Chavo and George the Animal Steel, and then even Ivan Koloff, I believe it was today. Yeah. So unfortunately, those 3 have passed away.
People always say it comes in threes when it really doesn't. Yeah. It did this week. So
and Chavo Classic he held the light heavyweight title, and
that's crazy
as well. He beat Chavo Jr.
for
it.
That's right.
And then lost it to Mysterio. But like Spike Dudley, Funaki, I always loved the Cruiserweight title because back then it gave life to a form of wrestling I loved that didn't have a presence on TV. Like between the Hulk Hogans and the Warriors and all that, there was no light heavyweights. I mean, they were around, but like they weren't featured like WCW made them featured, like you said, and gave them a thing. Here's another bit of trivia for you. 3 women held the WCW Cruiserweight title / the WWE incarnation of the Cruiserweight title. Who are those 3 women?
Molly Holly.
Okay, 1.
Jacqueline.
There's 2.
Lita. So
Jacqueline was right.
Oh.
Medusa and Daphne.
Really? I thought Molly Holly had... No, Molly Holly had the hardcore title. That's... Yeah, okay.
So Medusa won it she beat Evan Karagian for it and lost to Oklahoma. Remember that Jim Ross parody Ed Ferrara?
Right.
Yeah, that's how he beat her for the title. And Crowbar and Daphne won the title together, beating Chris Candido. And then Daphne beat Crowbar. And then Lieutenant Loco, who I believe was Chavo Guerrero, beat Daphne.
Huh.
At the time. And then Jacqueline won it from Chavo Guerrero Jr. and lost it to Chavo Guerrero Jr., who then lost it to Chavo Classic. So they were your three females who won it.
Nice.
Not bad. I mean, I'm looking over this list, and do you remember who... Obviously, this is the easiest question of them all. Do you remember who the last Cruiserweight champion was before this latest incarnation?
It was Hornswoggle, right?
Yeah, it was absolutely Hornswoggle, and then they vacated the title. And storyline vacated the title because Hornswoggle was Vince McMahon's son, and they felt like it was going to cause him harm to be the champion with everybody trying to gun for him, and then they just made the title disappear and never mentioned it again.
Because that makes sense.
So that was... Yeah, because that's exactly what it was. Psychosis, my favorite wrestler of all time, had the title 2 times for a total of 7 days. He actually had the title one day, and it was just like, how did he win the title? Oh, he won it. Don't worry about it. He won it. And there was never a match that took place where he won it, and he lost it on the same night. So that was like, WCW being WCW back then. Or just wrestling being wrestling back then, because they would do that stuff. He lost it to Disco Inferno, too, of all the people. That kind of pissed me off, but...
The worst.
Do you have a favorite? You have your favorite cruiserweights of all time?
I mean, Eddie and Ray are. I mean, they're obviously the most exposed, and I mean, La Parka. I gotta give shout outs to him because that guy's still going strong. I mean, I don't know how he does it, but he's still going.
Jushin Thunder Liger is my...
he and Liger too. Yeah.
Liger's 51, 52, something like that. Liger and Psychosis are my all-time favorites. Jericho. I was a huge Jericho fan. Obviously.
Of course, yeah.
Still am. Actually, there was a period of time where I just didn't care for him anymore when he started doing the main event stuff. But like this most recent run of his, like I'm a fan all over again. I liked Hoovy Juice. Hoovy Juice was all right with me, and Ultimo Dragon.
Juicy.
Ultimo Dragon,
Malenko.
WCW Ultimo Dragon, not WWE trip and fall over everything Ultimo Dragon. Come out on the ramp, fall. Come out on the, climb the rope, fall. Not that. I was like, like kind of like in the same light where I'm a fan of Vince Russo and like Jeff Jarrett, just because it's just fun to say I like those guys a lot. Alex Wright was like a cruiserweight I really loved. I don't know why. He did that dance and it was just stupid. I just gravitated towards people like that. How about this? Who was the only person to hold the Cruiserweight, WCW Heavyweight Championship, and WCW Hardcore Championship at the same time?
I don't know.
Lance Storm.
Oh, of course. All the Canadian
Lance
titles.
Storm. And then Elix Skipper was awarded the title by Lance Storm afterwards, and they were both from Team Canada.
Right.
Lance Storm called it the 100 kilograms and under championship.
Right.
So I mean, listen, this cruiserweight title, I'm having a ball
because Lance
going
Storm
through
wasn't a freaking genius and isn't still to this day. He was just some boring guy that worked really safe. No, the dude was a freaking genius. He was a freaking genius. He wasn't the larger than life personality of Steve Austin or The Rock, but holy crap, was he just he's just so smart to the business. It's unreal.
And I'm looking at this list. I'm having so much fun like reading the notes because there's so many notes because some of these titles changed like so mysteriously, or like because of stipulations. Malenko won a battle royal early in the night wearing a Ciclope mask to earn the title shot because he was banned from the building. Yeah. Stuff like that, and just it's so good.
Yeah.
So good. Yeah, it's just so much fun. What is the Cruiserweight division doing now that it didn't do back then for you?
I mean, it's like we talked about last week. We alluded to this segment last week, but they are they are pit stops in the main show on Raw. And while they do have their own show, there's all the confusion of, wait, I thought these guys were supposed to be on Raw. They're basically on SmackDown, but you're just pretending they're not. But you're kind of pretending they're not on Raw too. So, you know, because like you said, they changed the ropes and they're not really, they're like encapsulated in their own little segments that's sanitized from everything else. So it's just they're still not, they still don't, like, it's hard to say this because I'm saying that they're in their own little world, in their own little world. I don't know why I can't speak all of a sudden, but they're in their own little world, but somehow they don't have an identity, and it's strange. It's just like there's nothing that says oh snap, here come the cruiserweights. And
even back then when you were like, you know, all you cared about was The Rock and Austin and NWO, even a Jericho Malenko match was captivating to you.
Yeah.
You know, even like a Mysterio Psychosis match was captivating. I mean, maybe I can't sell somebody an El Dandy versus Viano 4. But, like, you know, El Dandy and 5 other people with Hector Garza, like, doing his corkscrew plunger off the top rope onto everybody, which, you know, you didn't really see week in, week out back then. You know, that started the week in, week out of seeing it, but, like, it was still relatively something you didn't see all the time.
Oh, but now we see it in every match, regardless
right,
of the size.
Exactly.
People.
But back then, like, you know, maybe
part of the problem with the Cruiserweight.
Maybe I can't sell you on that match, but at least the match was, like, so entertaining that maybe it wasn't a Kalisto and Apollo Crews versus Ziggler match. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying, like, that's a bad match, but I'm just saying it's a match on that spot of a match that on that spot of the card where people, like, got into.
Yeah, and I feel like we need a match. So just a few months ago, or I don't know, maybe it's been a year now. I don't know how long ago it was, where there was all the. I'm sorry to cut you off, but I wanted to sort of piggyback on what you're saying. Ospreay versus Ricochet. The drama and controversy and publicity that match got.
The being a spot fest, expose the business kind of match, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's
what cruiserweight matches are. That's what cruiserweight matches are.
That's what cruiserweight matches are supposed to be. And these guys, they're small, but they're probably a little bigger than the cruiserweights of you know, the heyday of cruiserweights. And you need showcase matches like that. And WWE is all about building individual characters and not necessarily showcasing what a style of wrestling is about, because it's all this homogenized stuff. And I'm not hating on WWE. There's a reason for a lot of the things they do, but sometimes, man, you just need something that just is so out of the box and gets people just talking and gets industry veterans, you know, happy, mad, whatever, but people can't stop talking about it for 2, 3, 4 weeks. And
I mean,
it gets refreshed when everybody's getting it on their podcast too. So you get another 3, 4, 5 weeks out of it again. I mean, it was a good.
Who do you think the most over
that people were talking about that one match?
Right. Who do you think the most over tag team is in wrestling right now?
The Young Bucks.
And how much do they weigh, and what is their wrestling style?
Oh, they're absolutely cruiserweights.
And expose the business.
Right.
Spotlight.
Yeah, they're
you know,
they're awful.
so like
right.
There's like, you know, so why doesn't that exist on the WWE level, and why is this cruiserweight this cruiserweight division's not working? It's just, it doesn't have compelling people. It has people brought in for a tournament who then were forced upon, like, you know, making a division out of it, and then you add like Sin Cara and Neville. That's not really, like, WCW brought in talent from a specific parts of the world, Mexico, Japan, but they always had the Japanese presence. Muta was always there, Chono was always there, and you know, all those guys were always there. Liger was always there. They always had that relationship with New Japan Pro Wrestling. So when they, like, just started doing they just did what ECW did on a larger audience. ECW brought in these guys. So hardcore wrestling fans started knowing who these guys were before they even appeared on WCW. Then WCW brought them all in and just made it like hot. Whereas WWE brought them in to make it an event, and then they launched the they already had the division, I think, already made up, like announced. But then they made an event, awarded the winner of the tournament a title, gave them segments on Raw, like fresh newbies, never on Raw before, never on main roster before. They got segments on Raw, and then they spun off a TV show for it that acts as its own federation, while being, Raw exclusive, being taped after SmackDown. Like, there's so many parts of this puzzle, and I think the ultimate part of it is just like these guys are just not captivating. I see guys with masks, I see guys from other parts of the world, and like, they're just generic wrestlers.
Yeah.
Like, even the guys that got you excited, like Cedric Alexander, like, he goes out there for a match and you're like, well, this is just, it's not special. It doesn't deserve its own place.
Yeah, he's been sanitized for our protection, apparently. But it's
is that what it is? It's instead of adapting to the WWE style, it's now he's been sanitized.
Yeah, I mean that's what it is, because and I'm not hating, because I loved Elimination Chamber. I really enjoyed Raw this week. SmackDown was pretty good. It wasn't it wasn't my favorite SmackDown, but I loved the main event. And we never even talked about Luke Harper, by the way. I mean, I talked about what he's going to do, but we didn't talk about what he did this week. But anyway, that's
where he just showed up right after Wyatt
showed up and beat the crap out of Bray Wyatt.
Yeah, that was
cool.
Interesting. Like, the lights went up and he's just standing there awkwardly, and I'm like it took me a second to realize. Like, it was like, you ever watch as a kid, like, you hear about a myth in a video, like a movie, like The Wizard of Oz. Like, one of the Munchkins like hangs himself in the background, like that, yeah. Or two men, or three men and a little lady, or three men and a baby.
The Ghost, which I've actually seen
window.
That. Like which
it was like a cardboard cutout or something behind the window. Yeah. So it's like, so you get the tape and you start reviewing. Well, it was like kind of like one of those moments. It just appears and you just see Luke Harper in the background, and you're just like, oh God, it's Luke Harper. Yeah. And he just punches him, It's just like, he's just there, and he's like, oh, okay, cool.
And the dude...
No, wait, that's Luke Harper.
The dude is maybe in the best shape of his life. He looks more cut every time I see him, and that's working for him, because it's making him look even more a threat, and I feel like that's leading to something. I hope it does. But back into leading to something, the Cruiserweights just... They don't need... I mean, yes, you need personalities, but man... If you're gonna have mat-based offense, can you make it exciting? Can we stop with the stupid rest holds? Can you dance your way around somewhat? And I don't mean like Rich Swann dancing. I mean, can you just chain to chain to chain to chain in an interesting and compelling fashion, instead of, okay, here's a 2-minute rest hold where the commentators have to once again sell, but you're cutting off his air, so that's really gonna mess him up, or whatever. It's just like,
it's a 3-hour show, and we gotta slow down every match.
For a commercial match. It's just like, stop making them slow down.
And then you watch a Will Ospreay match, or a Young Bucks match, or like anybody else who at this time is young and exciting. And not only do they have moves and flashy moves and put their own spin on moves, but they chain them together, like, just more bang for your buck for the the Young Bucks.
Yeah.
Where they do the multiple moonsaults and whatever. Even their dives to the outside will be like, tope, acai moonsault, like when they get back on the apron. And then you have Ospreay, who does this like ridiculous flipping standing moonsault combination, where it's just like off the rope, standing moonsault, off the rope again kind of thing. And like, I'm thinking back and I'm like, yeah. And then this
Ricochet.
Was Mysterio. This was Psychosis. This was even Taka Michinoku.
Yeah, but we got to mention Ricochet in that sequence too, because I mean, the dude is just...
I don't know a lot of Ricochet to bring up a specific move that he does, but I'm sure it does.
Just butter, and just everything he does looks so smooth, but he still makes it he's learning. Like every time I see him, he makes it look more and more and more brutal, and his 630 splash is just, or his 630 senton is just,
yeah.
I mean, it's magic.
Oh, Prince Puma also does that.
They are the same person.
Oh, my bad. Yeah. So, and I didn't know that originally, honestly.
Oh, I know. I remember I
really didn't know that.
Are you serious?
Because at that point in time, I never saw Ricochet wrestle, and I was kind of like getting back into wrestling at that point, and like I didn't know who it was, but yeah. I mean, listen, like there were so many great cruiserweights back then, and anytime a match had, listen, like every pay-per-view started off with a cruiserweight match on WCW. It was like kind of like they were the opening act, and it spawned great talent from it. We mentioned them all, pretty much, except those who shall not be named.
Sure.
But even him back then was like a superstar everywhere, and just at that level.
Right.
It spawned the LWO, which is like kind of like a failed WCW gimmick thing in terms of like everyone had to be in a stable.
Right.
But Eddie Guerrero kind of used the fact that they were the opening act and forced to fight each other to create that revolution, and then they just started fighting each other. Because they just, they would have the best matches.
Sure.
So they would just wanted to showcase themselves and what they can do. So it started off as like we're bitter towards WCW thing to like, we're just going to steal the show thing.
So what you're saying is they had an identity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now you have like Neville has an identity, but in the WCW world, like only one person can at a time.
Right.
Or two people can. The guy who has the title and the guy chasing the title.
Yeah. Those are the only people that you have characters, but you don't, as a division, have. I mean, that's kind of WWE. There's no identity for that company. It's just homogenize everything. And again, not a hater. I own lots of not lots, but I own WWE merchandise. WWE is pretty much the only thing I watch weekly on a consistent basis. But it's just come, as I've been to some other shows and as I catch other things from time to time, it's just like, man, it really things really do get sanitized in a way that it's just like, this match is kind of the same thing. And a negative that I have heard from Elimination Chamber, and this happens with a lot of other shows, a lot of other pay-per-views, and a lot of weekly shows with WWE, to my point, having the same type of finish over and over and over again really diminishes the key finish that you want to happen, that you want to be like the feature finish or the feature whatever, where you have Baron Corbin being that moment in the Elimination Chamber of someone who sticks around too long and ruins the match for someone else. But guess what? We saw that 3 times before Baron Corbin did it. It's like no one talks to each other in creative. And that's just, again, back to the cruiserweights. That's the problem. They have no identity because everything you see in their matches, you've seen all night long, and you're going to see it after their matches. You just see some characters here and there.
Yeah, and I'm totally looking forward to the point in time where WCW brings in people to make me invested. And honestly, I other than like rating like 10 people at once, I just can't see adding single people over time getting me invested in the Cruiserweight division. Even if it is Ricochet or it is,
Well, I mean, if they sanitize them, like if they tell them you can only do this, cut down your moveset or whatever, like they do everybody else, then how do you make some of the most exciting guys on the planet in this business boring?
It's easy. You put them on Raw.
You put them on Raw, or
put them
in WWE, and that's sad to say because this should be this. They call it the showcase of the immortals. That's WrestleMania, right? That's what it should be. But it's just everybody kind of doing the same thing, and the characters are all that matter. Well, your moveset and how you carry yourself in the ring is like used to be part of your character. So anyway,
you can't grab that brass ring if they don't let you grab the brass ring. You know what I mean?
There you go.
So then, all right. So wrapping this up, Can you name to me the 6 WWE Hall of Famers that Colonel Robert Parker managed?
No, but I want to call something real quick. I'm not gonna shut it down yet. I will shut it down in a second, but I'm not gonna shut it down. I suspect Diamond Dallas Page will be somehow involved in the show Monday, so they can finally announce his Hall of Fame.
Well, that's if they don't. Who's next for the exclusive leak? Is it Forbes?
Oh yeah,
that gets the exclusive
right.
leak
Yeah,
for the.
That's right. But I do suspect that it's going to get announced this coming week. So we'll see if I'm right. But
Vader, Stunning Steve Austin, Arn Anderson, Terry Funk, is he in the Hall of Fame? He should be. So I'm going to name him. Barry Windham, Booker T, and obviously Jeff Jarrett and Daphne are on the way to the WWE Hall of Fame.
Oh, of course they are. Good morning,
Mick Nasty and Killer D.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening,
Sonny Siaki.
Whatever it is for you. I'm the Duke. He's the Larry, and I'm surprised he's not still just naming off people. But with that, we're done. Bye.